are associated with Surat. But there's this one story which is like one of my favorite stories in Surat for when it comes to Surat, and it is also very particularly relevant for Independence Day, because this is where it all began. Like our episode says, this is where it all began. This is where British India, so to say, came to existence. So we'll have to travel a little back in time. We'll have to go to the year 1600, because this is where England officially joins the race to trade with India. Now, this is not a new concept. This is like someone saying now that I want to invest in bitcoins. Bitcoins are an old story now. So the same thing is happening with England as well. Trading with India is an old story now. When it comes to being back in 1600, because Portuguese have been doing that for more than 100 years. They entered the trade with East India back in 1500 itself, and uh, and when they entered this trade, if you remember, Vasco da Gama, the first European person to come to India via Cape, another route via Africa, another story. So that happened back in 1400s. So Portuguese had been trading with India since 1400, so to say, but it was only in 1600 that England was like, you know what, we are going to enter the trade as well. So they did the queen, finally, the queen of that time, Queen Elizabeth I, she issued a charter saying that a privilege has been granted for 15 years to certain adventurers, please note the word adventurers, for the discovery of the trade for the East Indies. And this happened on December 31st, 1600 AD. Okay, so finally the queen is like, okay, yeah, sorry I'm late, guys, but let's get this party started. So let's head it, Tom. Speaking of Tom, there are like multiple Toms in our story, multiple Toms, so many Toms. I can't tell you how many Toms there are in this story. And the first Tom of our story is Thomas Smythe, Sir Thomas Smythe, who doesn't have like a really large role to play, but it is just one small role to play, and which is that he was the how you doing? Thomas says, how you doing? And he was the merchant based in England. He was the first director of East India Company, and following the issuance of this charter, he raised capital, arranged for port ships, because that's how we used to travel back in those days. And they sailed to India. And when we talk about sailing to India, back in 1600, back in 17th century, it inevitably means that you're going to come to Surat. If you come to India, you are definitely going to come to Surat. And why are you going to come to Surat? Yeah, that's what he's also asking. Why though? Why are we coming to Surat? For that, we have to time travel back in 17th century and picture this city in 17th century itself. Okay. So, any suggestions, any guesses? Anyone wants to say, like, how was Surat in 17th century? Anyone has any idea? Anyone wants to say some inputs?
I would like to say,
Yeah, please go ahead.
I bet food was good at that time as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What else? Anyone?
People were still the same business minded that they are right now.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Charlene. That's a really good point. People, and true as well, people were still had the same business minded motives. What else?
Indices of seas or businesses.
Yeah, it was still see the businesses. So Surat used to be a really, really vibrant port. Okay, it had everything. Anyone can recognize what we are looking at? Can anyone recognize this? This part. What are we? Does this look familiar?
River apna
Suraj
Makai
Fort.
Bridge wala part.
Suraj
Yes,
Fort, right?
yes. This is fort. This is fort, and this picture was made back in. It's not exactly made in 1600. It's slightly newer, but still 17th century painting of Surat.
Made by the Dutch.
Made by a Dutch, yes. So maybe you can. This gave it away, but this is the fort which is still there, fortunately, and we can still say renewed and restored And this was the river. This was the river which used to have so many ships. These days we can't have these big ships sailing in Tapi because it has silted. It's not that deep anymore. It has gone shallow. But in those days, Tapi used to be deeper. Tapi used to be more fierce and strong. And and as you can see that the water level and everything used to be higher that time. And Surat was a very vibrant port. It had everything. It was very cosmopolitan. It had people from, like Shikhar pointed out earlier, it had people from Persia, China, a lot of people from Europe, a lot of people from other parts of the country, people from Burma, people from Southeast Asia, other parts of the Southeast Asia. Everyone came to Surat because Surat was not only a port to trade, it was also called as Bandar Mubarak, auspicious port. Why? That I have a question for you. So why does Makai Pool is called Makai Pool? Can anyone answer?
I can.
Because of the trade of corn.
No.
I used to
Can I?
believe that too. Yeah, go ahead.
So there were boats going from here to Makkah. That's why.
Yeah, that's why. So Hajj के लिए यहाँ से
Hajj.
ships,
Yes.
and that's why Mecca के आओ Mecca ही पुल हो गया. And that's why यहाँ से बहुत सारे लोग हज के लिए भी जाने के लिए आते थे, travel करने के लिए भी सूरत आते थे, and सूरत से फिर they used to go to Hajj. So it used to be, it was not just a trade market, it was also a port, like more like 17th century airport, जहाँ पे लोग आते हैं transit करने के लिए जा रहे हैं मकई. तो ये सारी चीजें होती थी सूरत में. And we used to trade a lot of things. Some of the things that we used to trade was clothes, of course. We used to trade spices, cardamom, pepper. Pepper used to be known as black gold because everyone, ये यूरोप में नहीं मिलता था, ये इंडिया में बहुत मिलता था, तो यूरोप वाले लोग बहुत आते थे इंडिया to trade this. Sometimes there is a legend that goes कि products के prices कम रखने के लिए sometimes the merchants used to burn these spices. So cardamom को burn करते थे so that the prices do not fall beyond a certain limit, and the whole city used to be fragrant with burning cardamoms, and I think it must be smelling really good because I personally like the smell of elaichi. Then we used to trade in indigo, we used to trade in textiles, dyes, and then there were precious stones, and there were there were goods that came from the other part of the world. From Burma used to export wood, and then there were Chinese porcelain, and there were other things as well. But these were the main commodities that India was famous for. Now this is Surat's map. It is not 17th century, it is actually a 19th century map, which was made in 1870, I think. And but what I want you to notice here is this this bold black lines. Can anyone say like what do these black lines mean?
The main roads.
Is the ring road?
Is the ring road close enough? Yeah, close enough. So this is not exactly a road. This is a boundary. This is a wall actually. So Surat used to be a walled city, and ज़्यादा बड़ा सूरत नहीं था. इसमें तो कुछ आ भी नहीं रहा. It's just Salabatpura, Begumpura, which is everything that we know even exists till date in the old city. So this is what Surat was inherently. Surat के बाहर ये railway station गया, and then यहाँ पे ये outer wall. This is the outer wall जिसको आलम पन्ना भी बोलते थे, and this is the inner wall जिसको some other name, I don't remember the name, but there were two walls. Surat used to be a walled city, and fun fact कि अठवा गेट को अठवा क्यों बोलते हैं? अठवा गेट क्यों बोलते हैं?
Right.
Because Athwa gate actually means
Eighth
Athwa
gate.
gate. Yeah, the 8th gate, exactly. So these walls used to have 12 gates, and Athwa gate used to be one of those gates. And उसी तरह उसमें अलग-अलग gates भी हुआ करते थे, जो sadly अभी नहीं है because the wall has long gone. And there's a few fragments of these walls that maybe can still be spotted in the old city, but as of mostly it's non-existent. But we used to have walls. We used to have not only one wall but two walls, two circumference, and one used to house in सब walls के अंदर the rich affluent part of the city, Jains, Hindus, who were like good affluent merchants, they used to live here. And उसके अलावा इस wall के बाहर like not so good people, poor people, they used to live here. Okay, so now moving on to coming back to the 1600s and what was happening with the British India who were trying to come to Surat. So the answer to a question like why Portuguese, why European people are coming to Surat is because mostly in one word that Surat is a very vibrant port and everyone comes to Surat to make money. Okay, Europeans came to Surat to make money and people still come to Surat to make money. It is something that is valid even in 21st century. So Thomas Smythe, the first director of East India Company, he resigned within 4 months. Don't ask me why, he just resigned, he had other priorities. And a decade went by and England is still struggling, okay? England is still struggling to get a hold of trade in India because not because Mughals or natives are asking English people to go back. In fact, they are not meeting much resistance from the native people at all. Their actual enemies are the Portuguese and Jesuits who are already in the country. So they don't want to share the trade. It is a very profitable trade to be able to trade with India and then sell these black pepper and indigo back in Europe. It is a very profitable business, okay? And they don't want to share it with any other European country, be it England or Dutch or French. But all the other European countries do want to get into this trade because they know how profitable it is. So in this decade that has went by, 1600 में issue हुआ था charter and it is 1612 and between 1612 1603 में एक John Mildenhall करके एक इंसान आया था. He wanted to get a treaty for doing business with to set a treaty to set up a factory in Surat, but he didn't get it because Portuguese in a nutshell. So Portuguese क्या करते थे ना? Portuguese and Jesuits, they had like really strong influence in Mughal court, which was back in Agra. Mughal court ka capital used to be in Agra, and they had already, you know, some Jesuits and Portuguese who were already in the court and who used to talk with emperor and used to tell things, you know, आप England वगैरह से आप trade मत करो, आप इनसे trade मत करो, बहुत ही ऐसे लोग हैं, आप बस Portuguese लोगों से trade करो, okay? इन लोगों से आपसे बात करने की जरूरत नहीं है. और ये चीज वो बार बोलते रहते थे, उनको बार बोलते रहते थे. और मुगल courts भी also because they had been in touch with Portuguese in such a long time, so they used to trust Portuguese more than they used to trust England. Okay, so a lot of ambassadors came in between in this decade from England to trying to get a treaty to set up a factory in India, but nothing is happening. Okay, they are given a false promises, but no, nothing is coming up. Okay, but then enter our second Thomas of the story, which is in 1612 when the first Battle of Suwali happened. Okay, Suwali, this is the same Suwali जहाँ पे हम लोग जाते हैं कभी-कभी बीच क्लीन अप करने या ऐसे चिल करने के लिए. So that is the same Suwali जहाँ पर a really important battle took place, and that battle took place because of this dude who is Thomas Best. Actually, he's not Thomas Best actually, he's a random English Navy thing. I just put up a picture in there. I actually don't know what Thomas Best looks like because there is no picture of him available in the public domain, but we're just gonna assume that he looks like Tom Hanks, okay? So second Thomas of our story is Captain Thomas Best, जिसके surname में ही Best है तो वो तो Best होगा ही. And then this is a picture of Battle of Suwali. यहाँ पे दिख नहीं रहा, but यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है England's Glory, Battle of Suwali. It happened in 1612. Exactly क्या हुआ था was wait a second. Date was February 13th, year 1612. Okay, Captain Thomas Best comes to Surat with two ships only. Okay, two ships only, and that is Dragon and Hosindair. Names are not relevant, although there used to be a lot of ships named Dragon back in those days. and Portuguese are coming. Portuguese are coming because they don't want England to be in English people to be in India at all. They don't want them to be in Surat. They don't want to be They don't want them to be asking king for the treaties because they just don't want them. Okay, so they are coming to get them out of the country. One for good. कि एक बार अच्छे से battle कर लेंगे और उनको यहाँ से हम लोग निकाल ही देंगे. That is their agenda. Okay, so they are coming with a really huge army. They're coming with a huge army, and Thomas Best is just has 2 ships, has limited number of people to fight with these people, and his crew is getting scared because they are like कि नहीं Portuguese तो हमें हरा ही देंगे, उनका तो कोई कुछ नहीं है, we can't do anything now, and so that is happening. And at the same time apna Captain Thomas Bester, he's cool, he's like Jon Snow. He's like, I know I don't stand a chance against Night King, but I'm still gonna give it a shot. Okay, so the date is थोड़ा सा because we are still in 17th century, तो battle होने में भी ships को आने में भी थोड़ा time लगता है from Goa. So November 29th, 1612, Portuguese are there at the shore, at Suvali shore, with 4 galleons, which are like huge ships, and couple of 30-40 frigates, which are like boats with guns, and they have like multiple people with gunmen who are going to fight with these English people. And our humble Captain Thomas Best, he doesn't have many people, but he has 2 ships that he is gonna use well. So, and Portuguese are assuring Surat के officials that you know what, हम लोग English वाले लोग को तो अभी 1 घंटे का काम है, हम लोग उनको ऐसे ऐसे कर लेंगे, भगा देंगे, बस काम खत्म हो जाएगा, ठीक है? And they were wrong. They couldn't have been more wrong. The battle went on for 4 days, and by the end of it, Captain Thomas had lost like 3 sailors, and Portuguese, on the other hand, they had lost 160. Okay, so quite surprisingly, English won. English won after 4 days, and everyone was super impressed कि ऐसे कैसे कर दिया यार थॉमस बेस्ट ने, ऐसे कैसे कर दिया. फिर तो जो नेटिव्स थे लोग, वो लोग गए फटाफट उनके सुल्तान के पास, उनके गवर्नर के पास, that you know what, English people have done it, they have defeated Portuguese, and the governor was impressed, so he informed Jahangir. उस समय emperor, India का emperor Jahangir था, तो Jahangir was also impressed, like, you know what, this is great, I am gonna give you what you were asking for, and you were asking for permission to set up a factory, so I'm gonna give you exactly that. So a royal फरमान was finally issued by Jahangir, जो 1 decade से, more than 1 decade, for 13 साल से जो घिस रहे थे कि मिल जाए, वो मिल गया. रॉयल फरमान इश्यू हो गया, जहांगीर आ गए, जहांगीर ने बता दिया, and first English factory was set up finally in 1613. Okay, so this was the first factory that used to be near Surat railway station. It was in existence till 1980s, but then uske baad it was sadly demolished, so it is not there anymore. But anyone wants to guess what's the name of the first president of the factory? Anyone? No, like this is I'll give you a hint. This is a story about Thomases. So what do you think would be the name of the first president of the factory?
Thomas Best.
Yes, Thomas Best नहीं था. Thomas Best वापस से चला गया war battle जीत के. But the governor, the first president of the factory, was also Thomas, and he was called Thomas Aldworth. He used to write journal. I think that's why his diaries are also available. I'm not sure. मैंने Thomas Aldworth के बारे में ज़्यादा research नहीं किया. He's not that well known. But he was the first president of the first English factory that was set up in Surat. Okay. But ये factory set up हो गया, but that was not the end of the story. Okay, it was not like कि Portuguese को एक बार हरा दिया, then Portuguese were like, oh no, हम लोग तो हार गए, अब कुछ नहीं हो सकता. They were like, नहीं, एक बार Battle of Savali हुआ, दूसरी बार भी हुआ, तीसरी बार भी हुआ. There were multiple Battle of Savali actually, and these were again and again between English and Portuguese were like, नहीं, इस बार तो हम उनको हराएंगे, इस बार हम लोग उनको बाहर निकालेंगे, ठीक है? Because definitely Portuguese still didn't want anyone to come and share the trade with them, and English were equally adamant कि नहीं, हम लोग तो यहाँ पर आएंगे ही. फाइनली फिर क्या हुआ, एक थॉमस कैप्टन बेस्ट तो कभी नहीं आए, बट उनका एक चेला था, उनके शिप में रहता था, निकोलस डाउनटाउन. He was there. He fought the other battles with Portuguese against the same odds, because the angrier the Portuguese get, the fiercer they got, and they brought bigger armies, they brought more ships, they brought even more gunmen, and somehow English always won. Okay, and it was not just because of good tactics. Yes, English were good at navy. They were good at fighting navy, and that was one of the reasons they became the England, the UK that colonized half of the world. But the main reason they kept winning was also because Suvali itself gave them a geographical advantage. कि जब कोई बाहर से आएगा, then they could. I'm not going to go into too much detail of how they fought the war, but in a nutshell, they had an advantage. They had a geographical advantage that they kept using again and again, and they kept winning again and again, and that's how it happened. But finally, बहुत सारे battles के बाद, 2-3 battles तो हुए थे, important battle, उसके बाद भी छोटे मोटे battle हुए थे. Portuguese were like, no, Surat is yours. Surat अब हमें कुछ नहीं करना देना. Finally the setup, factory भी setup हो गया, finally treaty भी मिल गया कि Portuguese और उसके बाद में बार-बार नहीं आएंगे, war नहीं होगा, and everything for a while that was it came like finally it began to wait a second. Yeah, thank you. Finally ऐसा हुआ कि ठीक है, now we begin, पहले first factory से चालू किया था, then we began to set up more factories, not just in Surat but in other parts of the country as well. And one of the main person who is responsible for this growth of East India Company in India, and during this time East India Company didn't have any intention of ruling the country. They didn't know that was going to happen. They only wanted to trade with the country, and that itself was such a hassle to do. And one of the main person who made this happen was another Thomas Roe, who was also called the architect of British India. Okay, and validly so, because जैसे मैंने पहले बोला था कि Portuguese were in India before England come to England come to India. So they had pretty strong influence on the monarchy. Okay, and वो लोग क्या करते थे, as I said before, कि वो लोग अपने दूसरे यूरोपियन कंट्रीज के बारे में वो लोग बुराई करते रहते थे. They didn't let the Mughal court to negotiate or to give privileges to different to other European countries. So Thomas Roe, he stayed in Agra for 3 years, 1615 to 1618. He didn't like India. He missed England terribly. He didn't like Jahangir. But he lived in that court. He lived with the emperor. He drank with the emperor, and it is also said that Jahangir and Thomas Roe were actually pretty good friends. And because of this friendship, because of this relentless effort जो Thomas Roe ने मुगल कोर्ट में डाला कि you know what, English are not actually that bad. You can give us a treaty. You can give us permission to set up trading posts. You can give us permission to set up factory. And he kept doing that. He kept doing that again and again and again for 3-4 years. And that finally led to some opening up in parts of Mughal minds कि you know what, हो सकता है कि इंग्लैंड उतने भी बुरा नहीं है, इंग्लिश पीपल उतने भी बुरे नहीं है, उनके साथ हम लोग ट्रेड कर सकते हैं. So that's why Thomas Roe is called the architect of British India. He was a really brilliant diplomat. Without him, I don't think Mughal emperors will have ever agreed to give permission to England to set a factory in India, not just in Surat, anywhere in the country. Okay, so respect Thomas Roe. Thomas Roe because we are on the topic of Thomas, I'm gonna talk about the last Thomas of our session, and this Thomas is also related to Suvali. This Thomas didn't go and fight any battle as Captain Thomas Best did, but Thomas Coriath was actually a very eccentric English writer. He used to travel before traveling became cool. he used to travel, and traveling back in 17th century wasn't like traveling in 21st century कि तुमने अहमदाबाद से फ्लाइट लिया और तुम 9 घंटे में लंदन पहुंच गए. ऐसा नहीं होता था. To reach England from India via ship used to take 3 months. And this gentleman in that era, in 17th century, he walked from Europe to India. He walked from Europe to India, and he walked across Europe as well, just so that he could write a travelogue. Okay, he wrote a travelogue with a really long name that maybe I'll tell later. And then he came to India walking, saying that I'll write a travelogue on India as well. So everything was going pretty well. He was he was traveling across India, but he fell sick. So he came to Surat. He came to Surat because he wanted to go back to England. So he came running back to Surat. He was getting sick, but unfortunately, he couldn't make it back to England. He couldn't complete his book on India because he died in this city in Surat, and he was buried in Suwali itself. So another very important author back in 17th century who still lays buried in our serene beach of Suwali. So next time you go to Suwali, next time you go to this beach, remember हम लोग इसमें बहुत सारी चीजें देखते हैं. When we go to Suwali, we see that this industrial hub जहाँ पर इतने सारे industries है. We see like oil goblets on the seashore जो distant ships के वजह से आ रहे हैं because of oil spills. But Suwali could have modern problems, modern stories, but it has a very rich historical stories as well. And this is what we talked about today. Many battles happened in Suwali. So next time when you go to Suwali, please remember those battles. Please remember Thomas Best. Remember Thomas Roe. Remember the whole turn of fate that happened in this very location. When next time you go to Suwali, go remember the author who is buried here, Thomas Koryat, who was a brilliant author. You could Google him maybe, and he walked across the world. Who does that? And that eccentric writer is also buried in Suwali. Another person who is buried in Suwali is Nicholas Downton's son. Nicholas Downton was another captain who fought against Portuguese, just like Captain Best, and who won just like Captain Best. And he has also played his own role in establishing British in India. So please remember Nicholas Downton's son, who was only 15, 16 when he died, and he was also buried here. And I don't know how many other people were buried in Suwali, because Suwali used to be an English adda. So ऐसा नहीं था कि शुरू में जब Europeans used to come to Surat, they used to directly come to Surat. They used to come to via Arabian Sea. So they used to come to Suwali first, and then they would travel via from Tapi में से boat लेके, then they would go to the mainland city. Okay, so Suwali was the English अंडा. पहले सूरत से जाने में पहले the Europeans used to come to India. They used to chill here. They used to sit here. There used to be a band that used to perform. There used to be a whole cultural thing there. You can imagine that that used to be there, but it's no longer there because it's no longer the Suwali it used to be. But when you go to this beach again, please remember the story, and I hope that this would enrich your understanding of the city in some limited way. Thank you. That was my story.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, will we find any sort of a tombstone or something there of these guys?
Exactly. So Thomas Koryat was buried in Suwali. Uska tomb is in Rajgari. Not exactly in the beach, but it is around Suwali somewhere. मैं भी अभी तक गई नहीं हूँ, but I have been told it is there.
We shall plan an adventure then.
Yes, definitely.
अभी तो बाहर निकल सकते हैं, so why not?
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions? No, Shaleen, sorry.
And any other people who are buried? This was again?
और थे दो तीन बहुत. This Nicholas Downton's son, I don't think he has a grave because he was not that well known. But we know about that he died here because of Nicholas Downton's diary entries, his journal that he left behind. So uske wajah se we know that his son died here, but unfortunately his grave is not there.
Okay.
but I'm sure there would be some other interesting stories in Sawali that we don't know yet because it's an old location. So, but as of now, I don't know anyone else who is buried in Sawali. जिसका grave अभी भी हो. But if you know anyone, if you know by chance, then please do let me know. We as an organization want to recognize all these places and tag them and protect them and preserve them before they're destroyed. So if you know have any knowledge, please share it with us. Anyone else any questions?
I have ये जो Portuguese and Britishers का जो battle हुआ था, you were saying that Britishers had a geographic advantage which they used in the subsequent battles with the Portuguese.
Yeah.
So what was that? What was that geographic advantage?
It was basically Sawali. Even I have to research a little bit more on like क्या army का क्या हुआ था उसमें. But the way I have read so far is कि so जहाँ पर सवाली जहाँ पे वो लोग अपना ship host करते थे, that used to be shallow water. English people जहाँ पे रहते थे, they used to be shallow water. तो जहाँ पे उनकी ships लगी हुई थी, वहाँ पर Portuguese could not enter because of their ships were like really huge. So they could not enter to that place, to that area, and English wouldn't go outside that area. Okay, they would stay in this area. So what would happen is there was it's difficult to explain without any visual aid, but what would happen would be like a reverse T. तो पोर्तुगीज वहां पे आएंगे तो वो बहुत सारे शुरू में like it the way it used to play out was कि to come to England, to come near to English ships, Portuguese could not come all at once. They had to come one by one. Okay, and जब one by one करके आते थे तो उसी में उनको cannon वगैरह fire करके उनको मतलब घायल कर देते थे. That was used to happen. So
They were
this
doing
was
the smart work of
yeah.
being on the other side of the
Exactly.
land.
So it could be it could be called as a coward move as well, that you should go in the open water and then fight. But they wouldn't go into the open water. They would stay near the shore and they would ask the Portuguese to come. But since they could not come in large numbers, वो लोग few small numbers में आते थे. That's why they used to win every time. And I don't know why Portuguese never came up with like a different strategy or something like that. So
They were too cocky. I mean, 160 लोग के साथ गए हैं, यहाँ पे सामने पे सिर्फ 3 लोग मरे हैं, 160 यहाँ पे मरे, तो मतलब I think they had a bigger army obviously because वो 2 ship में गया और यहाँ पे तो Portuguese can call up a lot of people from India itself.
Yeah, that could be the case. Yes. Yeah, they were cocky actually. That is a very well point. They were really cocky. Chandni has raised her hand. Chandni, do you have any question?
I'm so sorry, I did it by mistake. I just wanted to thank you for introducing us to such things that we didn't know earlier. So now, when we have a look at the dilapidated walls of the cities, we would actually think of all the, majestic history that those walls have seen. So I just wanted to my thought.
Yeah, those walls have another story. So this whole entire old city and the etymology of different places. Why is Begumpura called Begumpura? Because Begumpura is actually named after Shah Jahan's daughter Noor Jahan. So that is the Begum they're referring to. Why is Rustampura called Rustampura? Because it is named after a rich merchant called Rustam that used to live in 17th, 18th century. Why is Gopipura called Gopipura? Again after Gopi, the rich merchant. There is Sayyidpura has the same story. Nanpura has the same story. So why is Gurdwara Road called Gurdwara Road? Because it used to be a racetrack. So we might have lost a lot of built heritage, but there is a lot of soft heritage that is still there, and we could still find it in the names. We could still find it in the way we eat, in the food we eat, and if we just get conscious about it, we would realize that this has a story that goes beyond 200-300 years. So yeah, let's be more conscious and let's preserve where we come from. Anyone else has any stories or anything else they want to share that they know about Surat and they would like to, like anyone else, everyone else to know?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. People might know this, but I used like there's this area called Shahpur,
Hmm.
like just before Mugli Sarai,
Yeah.
SMC office,
Yeah.
and that area was probably the first where there were like how many, I don't know, a lot of world currencies were traded.
Yeah.
That was the only place in the world where you could find any currency in any like this number of large number of currencies. So I've been there. Not Chapel. It was called Nanavat. I've been
Hmm.
there. It's all little small lanes and everything. So it seems like you're in a European village, but you're in Surat, and that place has a lot of importance, historical importance too, for Surat.
Yeah, that's thank you for sharing that, Shaleen. Yes. Nanavat, there's another etymological story behind Nanavat.
Yeah.
Paritosh is here. Paritosh, do you want to say anything?
I would like to begin with a sorry because I was a little occupied elsewhere, so I could not join earlier.
No problem. No
But
problem.
congratulations for having just completed a wonderful talk.
Yeah.
So, what all did we discuss today other than what the British?
We just discussed this Battle of Sawali primarily and the Thomases who came to Surat. Paritosh, do you know anything about Thomas Aldworth? I mentioned Thomas Aldworth, but I didn't cover him.
Not much, Saloni, so I wouldn't be able to add qualitatively to that.
Okay. But yeah, I have just talked about Battle of Sawali, how first English factory came to existence, and whatever things we had to struggle with. Not we, English had to struggle with to make that happen. So I just shared that story. Anyway, you have anything to add? Then please go ahead.
No, nothing in specific, but I'm just trying to imagine the Surat of the 17th century. What would it have looked like?
Yeah.
So there is a very beautiful description of the Tapi riverfront from the 16th century and early 17th, from the early 17th century and early 18th century. So there is a area in Surat which is called Chauriasi. So Chauriasi also happens to be the constituency where my home falls. So there was a time when ships from 84 different countries used to be anchored at the port in Surat, just outside the fort. So if we look at the other places in Surat and the etymological history of those places, for example, Begumpura. So why is Begumpura called Begumpura? Because that was the revenue district which was gifted to Jahanara Begum, who was Shah Jahan's daughter, the elder daughter. And all the revenue from Surat used to be collected for her. A very popular place called Makkaipul. Why is it called Makkaipul? I think everybody in the city already knows about it, because that is the place from where people used to travel to Mecca for their annual Hajj pilgrimage, including nobles from the Mughal family. So there are areas called Jahangirpura, Mughli Sarai. Shaleen just mentioned Mughli Sarai. So that was a Mughal Sarai, which later became Mughli Sarai. And areas like Shahpur, he talked about Shahpur, Nanavat. So many such areas in the city. And I think we can have one session a few months down the line by some expert who can talk about the history behind the names of the places in the city of Surat. Ghordo Road, where my house is, Ghordo Road used to be a race course at one point of time. So Coatsfield Road. So Coatsfield Road is actually called Coatsfield Road. So, because that is the place where the police officers of the British administration used to hang their uniforms, used to hang their armors, and then they used to collect it from there. So that is how it became Coatsville and later became Coatsfield. So very interesting history about the names too. Thank you, Saloni. That's all.
Yeah. I think we can have like a separate session just on etymology of different areas in Surat and where did this come from? Who is this Rustam and Rustampura? Who is this Gopi and Gopipura? So we can have another session on this. And yeah, thank you all for joining. Thank you all for joining. I just had this one tale to say today. Um, but it's just like it's one episode that I spoke about because I happen to know a little bit about 17th century. But we are going to cover like different other stories of Surat too from different centuries. So 17th century was what we covered today, but in our next episode we are going to cover 18th century. What was going on in 18th century, and pretty interesting stuff because Surat has seen its Surat was at its peak in 17th century, but in 18th 19th century it began its decline, and as we all know that Mumbai was rising, so Surat gradually declined in its importance, and the merchants from Surat gradually started going to Mumbai because Britishers were asking them and giving them more I don't know. They were giving them privileges to come to Mumbai and start trading there. So yeah, so the port was declining, so Mumbai was rising. So what was happening inside the city? There was a lot of chaos. So that is what was happening in 17th, 18th century, which is what we are going to cover in coming episodes. We're also going to cover in later that. What was happening when it comes to independence revolution, when it comes to independence struggle, what was happening in Surat in 20th century, how active were we, what was how is this textile industry and this diamond industry, where did that come from? So all this, we weren't always producing. We always used to be diamond hub. We never always used to be textile hub. So it also has an origin. So where is that coming from? That is also we're going to cover in coming episodes. And of course, there are so many other things as well. There's the story of Rande, the story of Bardoli, the story of Sachin, the story of Siddhis. There are so many things that are around and in Surat that one episode is just not enough to cover all of that. So we're going to cover, we're going to try to cover all more stories. And we have another secret, not secret, it's public more or less, that we want to collect these stories, we want to document these stories and put this in public domain so that everyone can access it whenever they want. And I know some stories, Paritosh knows some stories, we know a couple of other people who know stories, but there could be so many more that we don't know. So we need your support, that if you know any stories, if you have any photos, if you know anyone else who knows about it, get them in touch with us. We want to talk to them. We want to document these stories. We want to document everything that we can find out. Built heritage is difficult to preserve, but then this soft heritage, this oral heritage is something that we all, if we unite, we can definitely preserve it. So I just want you to yeah, start asking people around you, start noticing your things around you, and get back to us, okay? Because we want to compile all of this, put it in one place so that everyone can access it anytime they want to. So
Saloni, there was
yeah.
a request.
Yeah, but
If people are interested, they can drop their contact numbers in the either in the chat box, or they can text this Global Shapers Surat page, so that we can form a WhatsApp group for better coordination.
Yeah, that's true. I have already taken their contact numbers from the registration form. So yeah, so that I have. And other, I think all of people who are here today, I think I have contact numbers for each one of them. So yeah, I'll make a group. If you're interested, if you want to contribute to this project, please get in touch, please coordinate and with us, and we want to make this happen. We love this city, and this is our way of paying back our regards to this city. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you all of you. Bye. Thank you, Kevya. Thank you for staying till the end. Kevya is one of my students. Thank you,
so much,
Ayushi.
Saloni. Thank you.
Thank you, Chandni. Thank you, Shikhar, Shalin, Yesha, Parito, Shanisha.
Thank you, Saloni.
Thank you, Suraksha. Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye. Thanks.